Welcome back to Spoiler Warning, or welcome if it's your first time here. My name is AKA AK, and we're covering issue number 4 of Absolute Wonder Woman. Spoilers ahead. Issue number 4 starts with two women who are watching the news of what's happening with the Tetracide. One of them writes on a notepad, because of the effects of the silent spell, writes on a notepad that she's going to go out to try to help people, and that the others should continue watching the news. The two have a tearful hug as one of them goes out. Uh, as she heads to the door, Steve is there with Wonder Woman. And Steve says, "Can we come in, Etta?" The other, who's Etta's sister, Gia, uh, freaks out because she can hear. She's like, "Oh no, will I be affected by the sound of madness?" But one of them's like, "Oh, I put a protection, so just so we can converse, it made things simpler." What's interesting about them is between the two, Gia looks more like how you think Etta would look like, and then Etta looks more punk rock. But I had guessed that that was Etta because I was like between these two because they introduced them at the same time. So I'm like, oh okay, which one's Etta? And I was like, it's probably this one, and I was right. Um, so there, Wonder Woman starts gathering ingredients because Gia Candy happens to be a witch, and in her shop she has ingredients that Wonder Woman doesn't have access to Hell. More so because Hell is Hell. So a lot of stuff that's common on Earth is not going to be in Hell. Um, she gathers what she needs, and she for a spell to restore her power because she's trying to regain her magical arm. There, she's set everything up. She gets a donation of blood from the trio, Steve, Gia, and Etta, which is like a pint of blood each, which Steve apparently volunteered all of them for. Um, he probably had to run that by them real quick. So Wonder Woman's casting the spell, she's covered in blood, and then we flash back to a moment where Cersei is having her first vision about the person that Wonder Woman will become. There, she's plagued with worry and prays to Hecate, who emerges in front of her, which is funny at this moment because somehow in my head, I kind of thought about like how Diana always prays to the different gods. And then these gods exist, and sometimes they do just interact with them. Like Apollo showed up to bring Diana. So somehow I kind of forgot. I didn't figure Hecate would just be making appearances in hell. But anyways, Hecate talks about how she gave Cersei a great responsibility, and the fact that through Diana she would change, and change so much that she would even defy Hecate herself. And Cersei's like, "No, that's not true." She's like, "You will." Uh, And she said, "I made a decision based on what I saw." Hecate reveals to Cersei that through her visions that she saw that what was best for the world as having Diana as a champion, and what was best for Hecate's wishes was also what ended up being best for Cersei because of how she would change. Afterwards, Cersei goes back in to console Diana, who's had a nightmare, and then we see Diana fully restored with her magical arm. Etta points out that she is now covered in blood and probably wants to clean that up. Um, she heads out after some words with Etta, and Etta notes that she makes things seem hopeful with how Diana sees things. At this point, people are just calling her Wonder Woman because she did announce herself as Wonder Woman on the news. Wonder Woman flies out to face the Tetracide again. She retrieves her sword from the water and pulls out bottled screams, which she uses to lure the Tetracide. After which, she enlarges her sword to gigantic proportions and proceeds to deliver what's hopefully the finishing blow, cleaving a massive portion of the Tetracide. There, we see somewhere in Washington, the National Defense Secretary and someone else are watching what's happening. And then the National Defense Secretary notes that even if a Wonder Woman kills the Tetracide, they still have a big problem on their hands, which it's framed as if Diana is that problem, which makes me wonder if it's because she's so powerful and it's just suddenly emerged. So there's a lot of distrust, or if now they're like, oh shit, magic exists. So what else, like eldritch demonic horrors, are we gonna have to deal with? It's a very interesting issue. And it looks for the most part like the Tetracide is defeated, which is cool. But who knows? It might not be down for the count that easily. Excited for issue 5, which will be part 5 of The Last Amazon. So we'll see if that wraps everything up. Because I'm not sure if arcs have epilogues all the time. Because I know Batman, the 5 parts of that ended up being 6 parts, and the same thing for Superman. So, well, it had an epilogue, but it ended up being 6 parts. So we'll see if Absolute Wonder Woman is 5 parts or 6 for the first story arc. Anyways, that's what happens in the arc. I like the idea of her being able to upgrade her magic with the fact that she can like have more supplies. So there's like a different variety of stuff we could see her do in the future. Uh, yeah. Anyways, thanks for watching. See you.